Woodrow Wilson, one of America's worst presidents, in my opinion, and probably in yours, whoever you may be watching this video. Saying Woodrow Wilson is one of America's worst presidents on the internet to history nerds is the equivalent of saying putting a fully loaded gun to your head and then shooting it is bad. We all know this. He was the 28th President of the United States of America. For those who don't know. And he was very racist. So yeah. And he was also very progressive, for at least a Democrat of that time. The Democrats were in between conservative and progressive somewhat. He was more so than even like his two predecessors, Taft and Teddy Roosevelt. And because of that, it would later inspired more or less somewhat of the modern democratic ideas. But the most influential thing he did was influence the United States entering World War I. Well, we all know the story. Francis Ferdinand gets shot, World War I begins, and yeah. But America wouldn't enter. And because of that caused the fall of the Russian Empire, and that would later cause the Soviet Union, which caused the deaths of millions of people. And until 1917, after the Zillman telegram, Wilson had no choice but to go to war against Germany. But people thought that was kind of dumb for America to get involved in a war that essentially didn't involve them. God, times have changed. Thank goodness, because we're no longer in that. I will give him credit because he more or less ended the war, but it caused multiple devastations. And America was one of the few nations that was able to get out lightly. But because of that, but Wilson was kind of hypocritical about entering the war, and he violated the Fourth Amendment by making the Sedition Act, where if you were complaining about America being in this war that had nothing to do with them, well, then you're gonna go to jail, my friend. And also, Congress hasn't shot that down, even though the war has been over. But Wilson was somewhat being Wilson. He's kind of poo-poo. He was also a big supporter of the lost cause and a big supporter of prohibition. And he was also somewhat for women voting. Unlike now, he would probably be seen as in between. You could say in between Trump and Biden's ideas of big government. So yeah. But World War I was still one of America's worst, but was still one of humanity's worst wars, and was very stupid. But Wilson used the idea that American soldiers were fighting for democracy around the world. That's where the whole idea of America fighting for democracy kind of came from. Sure, it is true, especially if we go over stuff like someone with the Cold War and World War II against the Soviet Union and the Nazis. But the German Empire was neither communist or fascist. It was imperialist, but still not the same. It doesn't even fit the definition of authoritarian dictatorship. And because of that, the war was kind of see how it was. From now on, a stupid war that should have never happened. an entire generation lost. Over 100 years ago. But because of America's intervention, the war ended. Germany couldn't handle it, and because of that, World War I ended in an American victory. Was seen as a great victory. But Wilson came up with the Treaty of Versailles. Now, what was that? Oh yeah, it was very stupid also. It basically said that Germany couldn't have a big enough military, and how do I put this? It also led to fascism, and he also somewhat led communism for multiple reasons. Fascism is more easily killed because he allowed the Nazis and the Italians to get revenges. Communism was more or less just because he didn't intervene in the Russian Civil War, unlike with the rest of the Allies. He would lay the ground for both FDR and Hitler, with Hitler coming to power and FDR seen as more or less just a progression of that. And because of that, he more or less caused World War II. And because of that, he more or less caused the American intervention in World War II. And if he was never president, he most likely, if World War II wouldn't have happened, it would have been way different, and maybe would have never happened. Woodrow Wilson is one of America's worst presidents, in my opinion.